Today is Wednesday. Grades were due yesterday for teachers in the evening, so you want to make sure that you check your grades and that we agree. I had a lot of people who didn't turn in their work for last week, so just to remind people that I won't be reopening work. The option now is that once you take the test, if you score a C or better, I will exempt you from any missing work for the unit. People did a great job with this last time, and I think it worked better than reopening assignments. However, if you have some concerns or if there's something I can do to help you, please just reach out to me. I'm talking about reopening mass assignments. It's we'll just go by case basis on what people need. Yesterday you should have learned about DNA versus RNA and talking about transcription, where you take one strand of DNA and you create an RNA strand, which is called transcription, and then it goes out into the RNA goes out into the cytoplasm. So here's what we've talked about so far. We talked about replication, which is taking an old strand of DNA and making a new strand of DNA. That's replication. Then transcription is taking a strand of DNA, one strand, the two are going to unzip. It's going to make RNA off of one strand of DNA with a different base pair. You'll see that in the notes. Remember, it's U instead of T. And then the last thing we'll learn about is going to be translation. We're not quite to that point yet. Here is the 3 different RNAs you're going to learn about. So you can see it a little better. Messenger RNA is what we are talking about right now, where we're going to take DNA, one strand of DNA, and make a strand of RNA. It's messenger RNA that we're making. It's a nucleotide sequence from the nucleus to the ribosome, made from DNA in the nucleus. It's going to go out into the cytoplasm, go to the ribosome. Transfer RNA is going to pick up amino acid in the cytoplasm and carry it to the ribosome. And then ribosomal RNA, which is found in the ribosome, will join mRNA and tRNA, and all 3 form a protein. And we'll get to those details later, but that's a pretty good view of what those are. And then lastly, you have an assignment to do. This assignment is pretty simple. What you're going to do, I'm going to open this up and screenshot it so we can write on it, or so I can write on it. Okay. So, on here, what you're going to do is you're going to be doing transcription. Transcription was DNA, one strand of DNA, and we're making a strand of RNA. And remember, we're talking about mRNA, messenger RNA. We've already talked about, previously we talked about DNA to DNA, taking an old strand and making a new one. That was called replication. And in replication, we used A-T as the base pair and G-C as a base pair. Whereas now, in DNA to RNA, we're going to go A to U and G to C. Right here, if you look at the phosphate, the sugar, and the guanine, this is a phosphate, a sugar, and a nitrogen base. That is called a nucleotide. That's what we're making here, are nucleotides. So in the middle here is a hydrogen bond. Next to it's going to be a base pair, meaning the pair to adenine. So over here we're going to see that it is uracil. So I'm going to put a U for uracil. Next to it should be my sugar. and next to that should be my phosphate. And that's what I do for all of these below. So I'm going to go hydrogen bond there. T goes with A. The only place you should see T is on the DNA strand, but A is still an RNA strand, sugar, and a phosphate. C goes with G, sugar, and a phosphate. A goes with U, sugar, and a phosphate. G goes with C, sugar, and a phosphate. T goes with A, sugar, and a phosphate. Remember, the T is on the DNA strand, so it's okay to have a T on the DNA strand. You just can't have a T on the RNA strand. Okay, that should about cover it. I've basically done this assignment with you. The question at the bottom asks about what in the world does RNA do now? Once the RNA strand, specifically messenger RNA strand, is made from DNA, DNA stays in the nucleus, where it can never leave, and RNA moves out into the cytoplasm. And it's going to the ribosome to meet tRNA and rRNA. And that is it for that assignment. Let's go ahead and close that.